So I've been sitting with this question that really has had me pause, and I don't know that I have an answer. So I'm going to pose you the same question that I've been asking myself. What am I more attached to? Releasing suffering or being free? It's kind of like, what do I want more? Is it to no longer be in a state of suffering, or is it to have inner freedom? Now, initially it might be like, oh, well, both. Like I want both, right? And the reason this question has been coming up for me is because it's kind of actually something I mentioned in my last video. What am I like the concepts of surrendering? I've been so attached to this idea of surrendering from my suffering, my inner suffering. This could be stress, anxiety, depression, doubts, fears, like limiting beliefs. We're human. We have so much internal suffering that we create for ourselves. Surrendering from that, or I shouldn't say or, it's more of an invitation. What might it look like to be as attached, maybe attached is not the best word, but as excited for, as striving towards, as like, burn all the boats because this is my only way out. Only way through is surrendering to complete inner freedom. I don't know why the question has come to me, but it has, or why my mind has evoked this question for myself, but I'll just share what it has brought me to a deeper state of recognition in how much of my time I actually do spend attempting to not suffer instead of embracing the innate freedom I already have, which has been quite an aha. Because, for example, I forget who I was hearing say this. It might have been in a group experience I was in. This individual was talking about feeling emotions and this awareness around when an emotion comes up, how many tools we have, especially as facilitators. Hopefully as a facilitator, you have your own inner regulation tools. But when these difficult emotions arise, are we so quick to use a tool to get rid of the emotion? Not that that's a bad thing, but just to have this awareness as this person was speaking about how she has all these tools essentially. And when something difficult arises, she takes the tool to get to like rid herself of the emotion. And I had this kind of inquiry for myself of, is that really the purpose though of the emotion? Isn't it more so to allow that emotion, because emotions are messengers, right? You've probably heard that said before. Is it not a wiser decision? Of course, depending on the context, I could see a need for both. I have my own tools too. Like if you're in the middle of a business meeting, maybe like processing your grief is not the most ideal state for that. And maybe a tool could be helpful in those moments. But is it not overall a wiser decision to let the emotion be a teacher for you? Which would mean use a tool to regulate yourself enough to be a witness and present to the emotion. But it's almost like, what's the space that you're coming from when you're facing suffering? Is it a space of, I want to get rid of this, which is why I'm seeking self-awakening and enlightenment or, inner freedom? And instead, I think this is the bridge I'm building for myself. Can I learn to radically accept and love the struggle itself, like learning really to befriend the struggle, so that it's like inner freedom, I would imagine naturally arises from that state versus this, I need to punch through this brick wall of resistance to get to the other side. I was in a call earlier today and I loved it. The gentleman was saying all that state, like these brick walls of resistance are now like tissue paper. And I kind of had that moment of, that's, I think, exactly what happens when we shift our focus of attention from, I'm doing all this, I'm trying so hard to release my state of suffering, and instead facing What is the inner freedom? What does inner freedom actually look like, sound like, feel like? Like really learning to love and experience freedom versus all this energy and focus on suffering. I don't know. I think it's just been interesting to be in that state of inquiry. What matters most? Releasing the suffering or allowing myself to embrace inner freedom? And I find myself when I'm more so focused on the suffering, everything just feels harder and heavier and there's more of a weight to it versus, okay, suffering is here. I'm not trying to avoid it anymore. I'm not trying to push past it. I'm not trying to manipulate my way through it. But instead, suffering is actually, this is like when they say, on the other side of suffering is the light, and on the other side of the darkness is the light. In Kabbalah, they teach like the greater the darkness, the greater the light that's coming through. Right? So instead, building that bridge for ourselves through the state of suffering to come to the heart of our greatest desire, which is freedom, for me at least, creating inner freedom. I want to share something else that's been kind of interesting inside of this journey of bridging from kind of a different way that I was thinking before to where I'm focusing my attention now. And that's been, I've been following this nutrition program called Wild Fit. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not. It's a fantastic program. But I've been reflecting on, and it's not an easy, it's a 12-month program, it's a 3-month program, 12 week or 13 weeks. And it's not easy because there's a lot of things inside of this program that you have to release. You have to release sugar, dairy, wheat, all types of grains, any additives, any refined sugars, and then eventually all sugars, and it's just, and caffeine. And it's just, I had this moment of like, if I knew what I was getting myself into, I don't know that I ever would have signed up for this thing. And I had just we were talking about in a group, the law of least effort. Where in your life are you having, where are you experiencing the law of least effort? Essentially where things are just flowing naturally and they're easy. And I'm like, in my nutrition, because every week I'm told to release something new, but instead of fighting against it, instead of like putting up this whole resistance to it, I'm kind of just allowing myself to go through the program. And again, it's not easy. I have cravings, things come up, but there's been such a release to this addiction to things like caffeine and sugar that I recognize there's so much to learn from not only this experience and all the other places in my life of where I am efforting, where before I encounter something, I have this tendency to, I need to know everything about the program and I need to know what the outcomes are. And I start creating expectations for myself. And unlike every other nutrition program that I've ever been a part of, where I have these like weight release goals, or I have these like sustainability goals for myself, I actually joined this program really from a state of inner freedom, not releasing suffering. I joined it from a state of, I just want to feel good in my body and I want to make this fun. And I don't have to have any guesswork anymore because it's a program I get to follow day by day and it's straightforward. And I've learned a lot from that. I'm like, wow, if I took that same mindset to my career, to my finances, to my family, where I just allowed myself to be present to what was emerging in the moment, receive the wisdom that's there and flow through without an attachment to what's behind the next door. What's going to happen next? How do I do this? Oh my God, like no sugar's coming up next week. I'm going to freak out. I need to binge all this. It's just fascinating how for myself, I've been interacting with the world from the state of control and attachment and expectation setting for myself and setting a bar as high as I possibly could and then striving all the way up to achieve it, to instead really coming from that place of, I'm doing this for fun. This could be easy. And the final thing I'll share in this, and actually releasing some of these addictions to sugar and caffeine, which are all stimulants, if you think about it to some degree. I'm someone who is, I'm catching myself in the language I'm using here. I have prior patterns of behavior. See, I was going to say I am, but I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say I have prior patterns of behavior where I tend to have like kind of over-functioning anxiety. So I'm someone who's like, I feel a lot of anxious energy in my body, a lot of restlessness, and I'm always constantly looking to do and create with that. And it's, again, stemming from a place of fear. But what I've recognized is Sugar and caffeine have been, I'm sure for many of us, coping mechanisms. Like I drink caffeine to feel more productive in my day, to boost that low energy. I go to sugar from an emotional eating perspective. When I notice for myself, when I'm procrastinating on work, I tend to go to my closet, my, food closet, and I sit there. Oh, I'm the person who like opens the fridge and I just look, what can I eat? What can I consume to numb this feeling of restlessness in my body, this kind of energy that I need to go grasp something and go do to feel a little bit better, to then go inevitably do the doing that needs to be done. Do the doing that needs to be done. So I think what I'm getting to is I'm witnessing, by releasing these innate coping mechanisms that have always been a part of myself, by removing the stimulants in my body has naturally relaxed. It's come more to a state of homeostasis. My dog clearly wants to say hello to you all. But yes, this release of the addictions that we have, of these seeking external validation, external need to meet some desire in me that I've been suppressing or repressing and not facing, by following this program so naturally and easily, and really a choice to make it easy and fun for myself, it's just been fascinating to witness the difference in what becomes possible when I enter a state of ease versus attachment. When I choose to come from and live into a space of inner freedom versus needing to control and attempt to overcome the state of suffering that is innate, that is just part of daily life. So yeah, all this, I'm curious, obviously your thoughts, your feedback, your questions, anything that emerges for you, and maybe your answer or your insights to the original question. What matters most? What are you focusing your attention on? Is it the state of suffering, or is it the desired state that you seek? For me, inner freedom. For you, I don't know, could be something else. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. And if you comment below, I do my best to respond to all comments. And it really means a lot to me that you're taking the time to watch this video with me today. Be well.